Hi guys, so welcome to the group. This is a quick start off video just to take a look at how exactly we'll be planning out our weight loss for the month if that happens to be your goal. So first thing that we're going to do is there will be a link below this for a basal metabolic rate calculator. This is basically the amount of calories that you need to take in to keep your body in this at the same weight before including or taking into account any exercise. So this would be both NEAT, so which is your exercise outside of the gym, and also the exercise you do in a gym or home workouts or cycling or anything like that. So basically generally what's recommended for weight loss is in around 1 pound per week. That varies depending on your weight. So say for example, they generally suggest not to lose more than 1% of your body weight per week. So for me, I'm roughly 76, maybe 77 kilos at the moment after Christmas. So for me, I think that's somewhere around the 160 pounds mark. You multiply it by 2.2, don't have a calculator at hand. So that would mean that for me, I wouldn't really want to be losing more than 1.6 pounds per week if I expect to keep that weight loss. Otherwise, anything more extreme generally is going to be more of a short-term thing, and you'll not be able to keep that level up for very long, and inevitably kind of revert back and end up putting on a bit more putting on the same weight again, or maybe even a little bit more if you, for example, drastically reduced your calories to a point where maybe you started to go into losing muscle as well as losing fat. So those are things that we're going to look at when we're calculating your goal, and also how many calories you want to restrict by and how many you want to burn and all that kind of stuff. So after we figured out our basal metabolic rate, we are then going to figure out how many calories we're going to need to burn or restrict in a given week to hit your goal. So I'm just going to go off of the example of 1 pound of body weight. So if it's 1 pound of body weight, then we need to reach a deficit of 500 calories per day to hit your 1 pound goal. So if in my example, my basal metabolic rate is in around 1800 calories. So for 1800 calories, that would mean that I need to be roughly at 1300 calorie mark per day to hit my goal. So I can do that through exercise, and I could do that through food. So I could take 200 calories off of my intake. So instead of consuming 1800, I would consume 1600, and then through my activity, I would want to burn 300 more calories per day. So that can be by walking, that could be by doing a class, that could be by cycling, and whatever else you want to include in there. There's endless options: doing a yoga class, doing a stretch, doing whatever your cardio is, or whatever your way burn energy. Even if it's just being super animated when you're talking to people, those are all going to burn calories. So depending on how many calories you burn in a day, then you could eat more food than that. So say if I'm just very active and I generally do a run every couple of days, and I do cycles, and I do a lot of walking and work, maybe do 25,000 steps or something like that, then that would affect how much I would need to eat, or how much I would need to reduce my calories by to hit my goal. So these are all the kind of things that we're going to work on individually. We'll make sure to go through your goal with you, make sure it's a realistic goal. You don't want to be aiming for 5 pounds a week for the whole month, and then no chocolate bars, no potatoes, no wine, no bread, no, if you go off everything, you're probably not going to keep that going for a long time. So it'll just be, when we are looking to reduce our calories, it will be picking things that we think that we could feasibly stay off of. So I like to go for a couple of easy ones. So one is just, instead of having a cappuccino, go for a black coffee. That can take 100 calories off. And if you're only trying to reduce 200 calories from your diet, then you're half the way there. After that, I look at things very calorie dense foods, like peanut butter can be a big one, butter itself can be a big one, oils when you're cooking can be a big one. So like I would say that you do want to consume healthy fats, but something like oils when you're cooking, they're not really that healthy once they've been brought to a certain temperature. So if we can lower the amount of oil you're using in cooking by getting one of those nice like pure olive oil sprays or something like that, then that's a great way of cutting a few calories that otherwise would not fill you or would not really affect your satisfaction with your food. Same goes for like peanut butter. You can use a lower calorie alternative, like you get powdered peanut butter. It cuts a good percentage of the calories off, and pretty much does the same job depending on what way you're consuming your peanut butter. Or we can just go for something completely different. Same goes for butter. It's such an easy choice for me that like when I eat my scrambled eggs in the morning, I usually have like scrambled eggs, beans, and then like 2 like sausages or something like that. So in that meal we could do 2 things. We could cut out the sausages or even just replace them with healthier ones. So like a full fat sausage or a normal Denny sausage or something like that. It's going to have a good few more calories than you can get these low calorie or low fat versions in Dunn's and stuff like that. No, Dunn's, Tesco's, any of those. I prefer the Mallon's ones. Mallon's ones as the nicest ones for me, and they have about 45 calories per, I think 43 actually, per sausage, rather than like can be anything up to 200 if you're going for like full fat sausages. So there you can see you could make a big impact in your couple of hundred calories that you're aiming for very easily with that. And usually, so if I'm having beans, I will just not butter the bread. I know that might seem awful to some people, but if I'm throwing beans on there, I barely even taste the butter anyway, and the butter off 2 slices generally adds up to about 100 calories or maybe more, depending on how heavy you go with it. So I can still have the same meal for the most part, but I will have already made the calories that I needed to cut, and so I won't need to go to drastic measures to reduce my calories or change my weight. I could just eat pretty much the exact same thing I ate before Christmas, but with slight changes. And of course, when you're looking at chocolate and potatoes and all those kind of stuff, we'll get into that later. But for now, that's what we're aiming for. Everybody to find out your basal metabolic rate, everybody to decide on a target, and then we're going to look at ways and means to hit that target.